Move on to item 6.5, our 10:30 a.m. item. A, consideration of report from the Lake County Tourism Improvement District on its activities over the past year. And B, approve agreement between the County of Lake and Visit Lake County, California for the provision of administrative services in the amount of $78,000 from March 2nd, 2021 to June 30th, 2021 to authorize the chair to sign. And I believe we have our Lake TID group. Go ahead and if you want to grab these seats up front, or just speak on the microphone up front, whatever is more comfortable for you.
How about we stay here so we can all...
Mr. Chair, they do have a PowerPoint that staff is prepared to show in the boardroom and also in the Zoom room.
Perfect.
So we want to make sure we've got that loaded. The team had it in advance.
So, Honorable Board of Supervisors, my name is Larry Galuppi.
If it's possible for you to speak in the microphone, thank you.
I'm Larry Galuppi. I'm the chairman of Lake County TID Board. I'm also the hotel director for Twin Pine Casino and a proud member of Middletown Rancheria. With me today is Brian Fisher, owns the Suites on Tolman, and Lynn Butcher. She owns the Talman in Upper Lake. They are our communications committee. They work really close with our consultants, and Brian's going to lead the presentation today.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the introductions.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Board of Supervisors, for having us. I think we're okay. Sorry about that. I don't have control over that, so I want to make sure. So we wanted to, thank you very much for having us in, and we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the modernization of Lake County's communications process. It's an investment that we feel is going to pay dividends for many years to come. So 2020 was quite a crazy year. Let's be honest. We were all set to launch our first ever advertising campaign in early spring of 2020. But on March 17th-ish, we, like everybody else, were tossed into a world we could no longer predict. The TID board continued to meet 2 times a month, staring into an ever uncertain future. We canceled all of our advertising plans and waited patiently to really see when to move forward. The sign really never came all year. In hindsight, the right decision was made, although it didn't feel like it at the time. Sometimes we really questioned what we should be doing. We continued the work on some of the most important goals that we'd set out for ourselves at the beginning of the year. And so here's a look at those accomplishments. So who's controlling? Yeah, I'm not sure who's controlling.
If you could just tell them when you want to go to the next slide.
So yeah, we can go to the next one, please. Slide?
There. Yeah.
Okay, there. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's not synced up. But, okay, so we built a state-of-the-art website using the newest tools. It's ADA compliant, it's search optimized, and above all, easy to manage on our end, as the site that we had inherited was basically fail on many of those fronts. Today, the site is ready for the new visitors we hope to direct there. So a brand new website was finished in 2020. We also added, next slide please. We also added 2 key members to the team overseeing very important pillars in our modern day communications plan: social media and media relations. Both positions were filled with in-county talent. Karen Pavoni has a background in social media management, having worked on the behalf of many clients in both Marin and Sonoma, and she's also a great photographer. She now directs our Instagram and Facebook pages. Trudy Wakefield has demonstrated her passion for Lake County with her founding role in the Lake County Bloom, a weekly chronicle of all good things happening in Lake County. Trudy now runs our media relations. Next slide, please. So in a year when hard advertising was inappropriate, we focused on building our social following, and it worked. We saw more than 120% increase in the number of people following Visit Lake County on Facebook. We now have 31,377 followers. Karen's posts highlighting the beauty of Lake County regularly draw audiences into the thousands and are magnified as they're shared all around the country. Karen has become the social media voice of Lake County, interacting with many of the people who reach out to us for more information, and it's a daily job. Next slide, please. Prior to our modernization of social, we were primarily talking to ourselves. No real city outside of, or town outside of Lake County came up in the top 10 for sure, if not top 20. Now you will see that our new weekly reach is very important, is in really important travel markets to Lake County. Here's the top 10 list reached just last week. Sacramento, San Francisco, San Jose, Stockton. So we're reaching the communities that we want to reach to encourage them to come to Lake County. The next slide, please. Trudy dove straight into the deep end, writing original features on Lake County and promoting them to outside media outlets. Visit California, arguably one of the most important voices in the tourism industry, with over 30 million unique visitors, featured Lake County prominently and now reaches out to Trudy on a monthly basis for feature ideas. Active NorCal, a blog, has picked up many of Trudy's features as well. And she's hard at work building relations with the LA Times, San Francisco Chronicle, Sunset Magazine, Seattle Times, and travel blogs like Weekend Sherpa. Her work is really just beginning. Next slide, please. After a short hiatus, we brought back our monthly newsletter. Each month we feature a different activity: hiking, wine tasting, fishing, dining in Lake County. The newsletter is sent out to a list of over 7,115 opt-in emails, a list we have grown by over 521 in just the last few months alone. Next email, please. Or next slide. Next email, yeah. Our asset, we built an asset bank. We began the first ever Lake County asset bank on Dropbox with professional photography and video taken all over the county. Here's a short list of some of the many locations we shot in 2020. Next, please. We ventured cautiously into print as it's hard to measure and can be expensive. We ran half-page 4-color ads in 2 hugely popular spring travel publications, AAA's Via magazine, where is that one here?
March issue.
The March issue, and the California Visitor's Guide, a copy of which we have for all of you folks today. So we're 2 very key places, we think, for print. Next slide, please. So while we're delighted to have raised more than $250,000 last year, in a very unique year, we will need substantially more going forward to compete for the travelers with neighboring counties who have been in this business of promoting their constituents for years and have millions of dollars to spend. That's a look at our 2020 revenues. So let's take a look ahead. Next slide, please. And the next slide, please. We will continue to partner with Belo & Company as we begin to advertise in 2021. Belo brings us a deep bench of talents we cannot find in Lake County. They are unique in their ability to work with many small cities, towns, counties all across the country. Amber Rowe, the third person over in this lineup at the top, is our account manager, and I speak with her on a weekly basis, if not more. We have started, as we've now just started our advertising in actually February. We can call on any of these other talented people you see here, whether it's for analytics from Shane or website issues from Ian. They continue to be a really great partner for us and will be a big asset for us moving forward. Next slide, please. So in a nutshell, so our primary goal is to increase overnight visitors. We have established metrics to measure our goals: newsletter signups, website traffic. However, due to COVID, we're only now starting to generate data and to see the effectiveness of these efforts. But that's what we're going to continue to look at and follow and try to be data-based and be very smart about what we do. Next slide, please. The media channels that we're going to be utilizing are programmatic display advertising and long-form native advertising, paid search, and paid social. And I'll give you just a quick example of each of these in the next few slides. Next slide, please. So programmatic display advertising is digital banners and teasers that appear on websites. They drive people to our website with links. In this case, the ad reads, 5 hikes you must take. With 100 plus miles of trails, Here are the top 5 spots locals like to take a hike. The link to the full story is on the Lake County website. Here's a series of ads. Next slide, please. Here is a series of ads that appear as a slideshow. America's oldest lake, California's cleanest air, and views that last forever. Sounds mighty nice, doesn't it? So stretch your legs in your imagination, Lake County, California. See what makes us clearly different. Next slide, please. In kind of the very unsexy category of paid search, we all know all travelers start their journey by searching online. Whether on Google or Bing, we want Lake County to be there for key searches. Here are 3 examples of those searches. The middle search reads, Lake County camping and RV parks, Clear Lake, Mount Konocti, and more. See what makes us California's best kept secret. This search query delivered 2,178 clicks to our website from 2,300 impressions, giving it a 9.38 click-through, way ahead of industry standards. Note, our search ads are going to constantly be updated and performance-driven based on algorithms from the search engine. So they're constantly in a state of kind of evolving. Next slide, please. Paid social. Paid social puts our social feed in front of people we know to have an affinity for what makes Lake County unique. Hiking, boating, biking, camping, wine tasting. We take key posts and feature them as sponsored to a wider audience, building our social following for years to come. Here are just 4 examples of those sponsored posts that we ran on social. So, we know we're on our way, and we'll continue to need the county's support, without a doubt, to help spread the word that Lake County has so much to offer visitors from all over California and the country, and quite frankly, the world. So that's our update for you today.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Sure.
Any comments or questions? Supervisor Simon.
Yeah, I just appreciate the update. Obviously, we know the challenges of last year and as we move through things. So I'm excited to see what has been created at this point, and really with the opportunity that we're moving in a direction to open things up and bring back our business and really advertise who we are, tell our story. Thank you. That's what I'll say. I know it's a partnership with the county and all the businesses and everybody who want to be involved with this, but when I came on the board, was one thing that I think we were lacking here in the county is telling our story. A lot of folks are telling our story from the outside, looking in on us, but now we're doing it from the inside. And we all know how beautiful this place is. We know how dedicated our businesses are to make sure that they have enjoyable trips when people come here to visit. And I just want to thank you. I know this is going to help us highlight it and as we move forward. So thank you very much for the presentation and good work.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Supervisor Pyska?
Supervisor Simon, you pointed out that this is us telling our story, and I think you hit it right there. This team's been working hard for quite a few years, and I've been attending these meetings. I think it's been over 2 years now. I think the right choice last spring, when everything kind of changed suddenly, was to focus on the website and the social. I think you guys did a brilliant job. The website is beautiful. So I think that really paid off. You guys did a great job. I'm happy to be a part of the team. I really appreciate collaborating with all of you. Well done.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Crandall?
Yes, I've been involved with the TID since I think when it was when it started back in the 2018, I think it was, trying to help get some people to sign on board and whatnot. So attended some meetings, and of course, yeah, it was right when they did the spin-off for everything. It was right when we had those fires, the second set of fires in 2019, I think it was, and that's when they presented the logo and all sorts of other ideals, and we started making some headway, but of course that was a little hindered by that event, that fire, and then the pandemic hit, and so it's just been kind of fighting uphill, but they're doing it, And so I like that we're in you said the AAA magazine. That's a lot of people get those. And, I know once we get things going again, and I'm involved with the meetings, I like to discuss how we're one of the highways right next to the lake. And I'm sure we've talked about that, but I like that that's there because people driving, all of those different things, all of our attributes that we could show to the world why we're so special. So again, thanks.
Thank you. Supervisor Scott?
Yeah, thank you for the update. I know the last time we spoke, we were talking about how Lake County really did not have a presence online and our social media wasn't there and how important that is. So it's exciting that we're seeing the hits. Even with this last year, how crazy everything's been with COVID, we were already seeing the percentages going up and getting our name out there and just clicking on something that looks like a place you'd want to visit. And we didn't have that before. So really, thank you for all this hard work and putting Lake County on the map and bringing people in.
So yes, thank you very much for all your hard work. I love what you've been doing in the time of pandemic, trying to figure out how can you still move forward, especially at a time where hotels and lodging is really hurting due to the lack of travel and the quarantining. I appreciate all the hard work and I want to see you continue to progress. I would like for you to maybe present a little bit more detail on Part B. You're asking for $76,000, either 76 or 78, I forget the exact number, I'd have to look. $78,000. Can you provide some further details as to what specific plans you have for those funds to us and the public?
Yeah, we right now, starting with February, entered into a media contract with Belo for just over about $120,000. So some of those three efforts that you saw there, programmatic, search, and paid social, we're going to be spending about half of our revenue on that in the first just 6 months alone. So we are definitely, now in the game. So a lot of stuff is going on in terms of we actually need a lot more assets for the county. It's interesting when you start an asset bank, you have kind of a place in time. All of our assets show everybody with sunny shoulders out in a beautiful summer afternoon. And this winter we were like, okay, well, that's not what wine tasting looks like right now. So we're going to continue to definitely work on that asset bank. And we have bigger plans. I mean, there's a lot we would love to do, folks, with media. We have a very, very small budget. And we're not complaining about that because that's the budget we have. But we would love to be able to do, maybe some outdoor in key markets. So there's a lot that we would love to do to promote the county and think that we would be successful doing it.
Right.
I'd just like to add that everything we do is with volunteers. So all of our money right now, other than, insurance and kind of the minimums you have to spend to be a nonprofit, is going towards productive assets such as the website, such as the campaign. Like I say, it's all volunteer work. The other thing I would just like to add is we are extremely fortunate to have this guy because his background is in advertising and marketing and he's techie. And I mean, without Brian, I don't know how we would manage right now. We'd be paying for much more outside advice and we really are a bare bones operation right now, trying to get as much bang for the buck as we can. And Belo's been great. We're very fortunate that we have them too.
And so at this moment in time, do you have a baseline for a number of beds for the year where we can look at further data later this year? Hopefully it's not an anomaly year because 2020 is difficult to compare and contrast. But do you have like 2019 and 2018 numbers where then we can look at how 2021 has helped increase based on the marketing that you've done? Is that all prepared?
Yeah, no, we really don't have those type of baseline numbers. In 19 when we really started the efforts, we started with building like really key areas that we needed to build, which were definitely our brand. We didn't have a brand, and so we needed to build the brand, and we spent the time building the brand. And then in 19, when we were supposed to start our advertising, in 20, of course we did not. And so we worked on social. So our success metrics have been in the two areas that we know we focused on, which was let's build social. It's kind of a soft sell advertising, but it's a way to reach people, really free eyeballs. We now have 31,000 folks who follow us that we don't pay for. So that was a key number. And just as a point of reference, Mendocino has about 51,000. So we felt like we really made some great headway there. We know we can do it when we focus on it. But in terms of heads and beds, we haven't got those measurements yet. We just have started. And then we too don't have a lot of the tools that are going to tell us. We don't have a universal booking system on our website. Our website is going to refer people to the Tallman Hotel. And we'll be looking at those referrals to it, but it would be up to Lynn then to have the technology on her end to say, that they booked a 3-night stay. So we don't have some of those major tools that, other counties definitely have. But we're not going to cry about that. We're just going to keep moving forward and bring people, because we know from remittances that things are up. Our two businesses have done fairly well this year. So those are the key indicators that we feel we're looking at. You mentioned also social. So when we took over our social and began to create our narrative, wow, it was a minefield when we took it over. There were so many trolls that wrote such negative things. It was crazy, and that's all gone. They all kind of just dissipate into the woodwork. Every now and then they'll come out, but Karen was hiding on average 2 or 3 comments a day, where people were just, rah. And we expected it, but that's definitely changed. So we feel like we're controlling the narrative, as you said, Tina. We have our own narrative. It's a great narrative. We have a lot to sell here, folks. We know that. We just need the continued support to keep doing it.
I definitely agree with that. I think sometimes Lake County, we are our own worst enemy when we're trying to promote ourselves. And it is an internal change that we have to do with ourselves of how we speak about Lake County, how we speak about the place that we live and we love. And that has been a mission, just not even with your group, but just all the different groups of how we look at ourselves and talk about ourselves is going to change the way people from the outside are going to view us too.
I think one of the things the chair was asking is, do we know what our occupancy was before and therefore can measure the after? Data regarding number of rooms and how many rooms people are selling is very hard for us to come by. I think we don't have access to as much information as the county does because TOT is confidential. I don't know quite how all that works, but we are struggling to get as much data as possible. We have a fairly passive constituency. Hoteliers are all just very busy, I think, making beds and cooking breakfast and trying to get people in and out of their rooms. So one of our projects is to try and get more involvement from our constituents so we can know better what changes we've made. It's going to be right for the short term. It's going to be really just based on total collection of revenue, because that's what tells us whether people are making, selling more rooms than they were before. So that kind of data, eventually we might have, and maybe other counties do, but we just don't have it.
And I think that one of the baselines we do have is our TOT, and we can see if there's an increase in that or not. It's depending on the value of the rooms as well, but still we can see if there's an increase, then most likely it means there was an increase of activity as well in our lodging. I love what you guys are doing. I think that it's the most organized and most realistic process that I've seen so far to really get us on the map. I know you're working with folks over at the state to make sure that it's not just us working in a vacuum. You're working with other agencies outside of us. And my last question is, you're asking for the $78,000, but you're asking for it up through June 30th, 2021. What happens after June 30th, 2021?
That's good. Well, so we asked for the money actually a year ago. But we're here now because it took that long to get here. So and I will tell you, it's really difficult to run the organization without knowing what funds we have. And funds promised are not the same as checks cashed. So we have just been trying to play by the game that the cards we've been dealt. And so, we've made assumptions that we were going to have this money for sure. That's all factored into the planning that we've done for just the first half of the year. So in some ways, we're here to say thank you for that money and ask for the money again next year and more if you can. I mean, it's really, we have to plan out our communications as far in advance as we can. And so last year, obviously, we stopped it all, but we were online to spend well over $100,000 last year in media and then did not. Spent somewhere around $35,000 for social. And so the more we know what we've got in our bank account, the more we can plan. And so I guess that's everybody.
I think one of our projects would be to come up with a formula. A lot of counties, you know, I mean, most counties have this sort of relationship. You know, you have the county, then you've got the marketing organization. And a lot of them have just set up a formula. So every year it's pretty much automatic. You know, some percentage of TOT, something that is, just acknowledges that the entity is doing the marketing that otherwise would be done, you know, by the county. So we can make some proposals and get back to you and maybe tell you what some other counties have done. And I assume that would make your job easier as well as ours in terms of not having to deal with annual requests.
And so you're actually hitting on my thought is how can you as a group function when your deadline is June 30th, 2021? I'd love to see an extension to 2022, an extension to 2023. That way you can predict what your future processes will be. Right now, if you could only predict till June, it's tough to plan that out because marketing expands much further than just through June 30th, especially June 30th is right in the middle of the height of when we're expecting people to come through. I guess I do have a tiny bit of a problem in wanting to expand that because I want to have that discussion with the board to see if it's possible to expand that. But I also, in your agreement, it's very broad as far as what the scope of what the money is for. Is it possible to get a little bit more of a fine-tuned budget of what you need for social media, what you need for specific types of marketings and specific types of materials, where then we can look at, this is your 3-year budget that you'd like to see maybe 78,000 times 3 and make that possible. If there was a budget attached to that, I'd feel a lot more comfortable doing a 3-year than a 1-year and not sure if we're looking to just approve what we have here today and you come back for the extension or if you just want to come back with that. And again, it's all based on if the board agrees that that's a direction to go. Because I want to see you succeed, and success is not going to happen by June 30th. It's about the long-term process and dedication. Thank you for the work that you do to make this happen. And while you're volunteers, and I don't mean this in a negative way, you're benefiting in some way, shape, or form because the idea is for you to become more successful by having more heads in beds. And on us, I would typically feel uncomfortable providing money for a private industry to be more successful, but we regain something in return as well through the TOT, and so everybody benefits by working together and playing together. I have a side question for our CAO. Where is the funding? I don't see that it's necessarily specified in here. Where does the funding of the $78,000 come from? Is that coming from our TOT directly?
It comes from our marketing budget, which is budget unit 1892. Yes.
And is it possible to discuss a 2-year or 3-year with that specific budget, or would we need to think outside of that specific box if we discuss 2 or 3 years?
What staff is recommending today is that you approve this contract for the remainder of this fiscal year. And then we're happy to meet with TID officials about their needs for future years.
Do we, just to rephrase my question, do we have the funds for 2 or 3 years in that bucket right now?
Well, the intention of establishing the TID was to create a revenue stream for these activities. And certainly in the COVID environment, that revenue stream would be dramatically impacted. But we would need to look at that as we go year to year. The county has been by far the most significant contributor to this effort. The county put forward the funds to establish the TID in the first place. It cost the county about $50,000. Last year, we gave the TID $156,000 for this type of activity that we're talking about today. And today, and in the pandemic year, which has impacted their efforts so much, we're proposing to fund them at half that rate, hence the $78,000. So we would need an opportunity to meet with them offline and look at revenue availability and their needs for future fiscal years.
Okay. And is the long-term plan to eventually slim down your request from county or other agencies because you're seeing an increase in your TID, TOT that you're receiving?
So I can kind of speak to a little, we're part of a group of regional counties that market ourselves called the North of Ordinary Group. And it's Del Norte, Mendocino, and Humboldt counties and Lake. And in Humboldt County, they have an agreement with their TOT, their TID, in that they fund 50 cents on the dollar of all TID collections each year of TOT. Out of the TOT, they give 50 cents on the dollar for the TID collections. And so I think that arrangement would probably be the long-term arrangement that we would like to seek, as we will continue and will always be marketing for the county. And we don't ever see our needs really decreasing. It's just going to become it's going to be a more important game to continue to play. And I think given the importance of tourism on this county, it's an area that we will definitely benefit from, and all boats will rise.
And I think what we're doing will also encourage other hotels to build and come to Lake County. I mean, when people go out and do these studies about whether they should, build a hotel here, it's hard because occupancy is pretty low. We get calls occasionally, and what we're doing really could bring a lot of industry here that would make our hospitality industry bigger.
Thank you for that. And my last comment just has to deal with the data that you provided us today. I still can't believe how much larger of a piece of the pie the city of Clear Lake is in the TID portion of your revenue versus the city of Lakeport. I know when I speak with a lot of the fishing tournaments, they typically are staying mostly around Lakeport, even when they take off from Redbud Thompson Harbor. They're still coming out from wherever they're staying outside of the Clear Lake area, but obviously there's a lot of activity happening in those hotels over there and other lodging. So it's good to see, but it's still somewhat surprising.
It's been surprising for us too. We just started to see the numbers and we started to compare them, and we've been scratching our heads too. There was a data problem in the original look at the total revenues for TOT, because anyway, we've gone around and around trying to figure it out too, but it just shows you the importance of some of these national chains that Clear Lake has, the Super 8 and the Best Western.
Right.
So it really, again, as you guys search and look for ways to draw industry here, those guys tend to be pretty healthy with their franchises. So last year you all did ask, is there anything you could do for us? And you're already hopefully signing the check. But I also want to bring your attention to something else. It's a really big, I think a very big potential revenue source for the county on many fronts. And we've had one meeting thus far, and it's something that I learned, and I'm learning from being in this group of 4 other counties, is going after and creating increasing remittances from short-term rentals. So STRs are the fastest growing type of accommodations in Lake County. As we know, no hotels are being built. So STRs are the fastest growing area, but they have a very difficult time remitting TOT or TID. And it's because the 2 platforms, Expedia and Airbnb, don't allow it in our county, but they do in other counties. So It's a tax revenue, it's a tax issue, and it's something that we need to do something about. We're missing a lot of money. A lot just goes uncollected. So that would be an area that, as a county, we need to get smarter about.
And I do know that we worked pretty hard on adding a lot of Airbnbs, I want to say about 2 years ago, but there may be still some gaps because the internet doesn't always make things very available and apparent as to who's active and who's not.
Yeah, and if you talk with the tax collectors of like Humboldt, that's a very outdated model. Nobody's doing that. People have struck what are called voluntary collection agreements, VCRs, with the two platforms, and they are collecting TOT, TID upon the reservation and then remitting it to the county on a quarterly basis. In Mendocino, Sonoma, Napa, anyway, San Francisco,
San Francisco, sure, yeah.
Monterey,
Yeah.
and that doesn't happen here.
But the county has to go to them and
Yeah, it
ask
has to
them
be the
do
tax
it.
collector. I was just on a call with Mike Nichols, tax collector up in Humboldt, and he struck a voluntary collection agreement in 2016. And in the first year, I think he said, he saw in the first remittance, there was a $27,000 increase in just the very first remittance, and over the years, he said it's probably over $500,000. So there's a lot of money in short-term rentals. And as these houses up here on the lake get sold to people from out of county who want to come up, and they're going to rent them other times, it's money we need to collect. Everybody needs to pay their TOT, TID.
Appreciate those comments.
Sure.
Any further comments from the board before we open it up for the public?
Yes, I have a comment on that. Patrick Sullivan was able to be on that call last week, and we had a long conversation with him. There's a lot of pros and cons to weigh, and maybe it's best for us to have that conversation at a TID meeting going forward to kind of figure the best way forward.
Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and open it up to the public. I don't think I've done that quite yet. Please click on the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen if you're on the Zoom room from a smartphone or a computer, or if you called into the Zoom room, then please dial *9.
So it does look like we have some hands raised here. The first hand we have raised is from Melissa Fulton. Looks like she is unmuted. Will you please confirm your first and last name?
Melissa Fulton, CEO of the Lake County Chamber of Commerce. To Supervisor Sabatier's comment about diminishing the request from the TID in the future to the county, I couldn't agree with Brian more. The county needs to, they have already done a lot, they have already put forth a lot of monetary support to this organization, and I see that as needing to be increased, and not just necessarily from the TOT taxes collected. The strides that they were able to make so far, given the last year, are phenomenal. And we actually need to get more of our stakeholders, our accommodations, to join this organization. Yes, with increased visitors, the TOT will go up, which means that the TID portion will increase. But from my standpoint, the county needs to fully support this organization. It is out there making strides that have not been made in the past, and it promotes the entire county. So I would see the County of Lake as being not just a continuing supporter, but there needs to be an increase in the amount of monetary support for this group. I mean, the fact that the social media outreach is phenomenal, and given, again, the pandemic. It just seems that the future of the county will be greatly enhanced by the efforts of the TID going forward. So I hope that that will be the mindset of our supervisors, because these folks are doing a mountain of work that will benefit not just their stakeholders by any means, but all businesses in Lake County. So this is a ripple effect that will continue to grow. So thank you for your support from the get-go in November of 2018 and the support that you're discussing today. But I seriously encourage you to continue that support, but also to grow it, because it will be a definite win-win for everyone in this county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Sally Peterson.
Hi, good morning. I'm Sally Peterson. I am a resident of Middletown. And I just wanted to echo some of the same thoughts in listening to the presentation that was given by the TID board. And my thanks to the hard work that has been done with little resource, that they're doing a really great job. And the efforts that have been made is so vital to our community as a whole. It really is going to strengthen our economies in the entire county, and it is so important. I was involved early on when this idea came about to create the TID, and looking back on what the system was before through the marketing department, one of the issues that they had was funding. There was never enough funding. So we found a different source using the TOT tax and the additional percentage that was approved. So there is a revenue stream coming in. It's, of course, not enough, obviously, but I have to echo the same comments that my hope is that the county will fully support these efforts, and that the efforts thus far has been for the entire county as a whole. And then, you know, just the support that they need from obviously the tax collector. The comments that were made about the platform and getting the revenue from the short-term rentals is very important. And just sharing more data with the TID board is going to be helpful as well. So I really hope that the board makes those recommendations to the tax collector, and that the support is given to this organization. It's so greatly needed for our county and to strengthen the economies, where, you know, a lot of areas in the county are still trying to recover even from the wildfires. So this is definitely something that is much needed. So thanks so much to the TID board for all of their hard work. And thank you, Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. Next, we have phone 6205. I'm guessing those are the last four digits of the number. If you can please give us your full name.
Hi, this is Bart Levitt. I am a resident in the Clear Lake Riviera area off Soda Bay Road, and we see a big influx of whenever there are visiting days. This is where we see it in our area. And before the matter of hosting more tourists in homes occurs, I'm wondering if the matter of fire safety, COVID safety, PSPS safety can be addressed overall for our Lake County visitors. Last year, we had a fire started by cigarette butts being thrown. And what seems so simple can be so dangerous to us. What do we do to let our visitors know what we expect of them and what they can expect of us?
Thank you very much for your comment. And
Thank you.
I believe that is the last of our public comment. And did anyone have a response to this last public comment that we received? I would say that we need to lead by example and show people how you're supposed to behave when you're in Lake County, and I think we're the best mentors to anyone coming in, and that we treat everybody equally, whether you live in Lake County or you come visit Lake County, and that we set the rules and standards to help keep everyone safe and secure. That would be my statement to make on that.
Yeah, I would just follow up, obviously, is public messaging, and I know that the Risk Reduction Authority, we're going to be doing some local community via events that, talk about that, something we can touch on about visiting Lake County during fire season and everything. So all in coordination to talk about the safety requirements and other stuff like that are going on. I think that falls right into the Risk Reduction Authority. I know we're planning on having something in April. It can be a simple conversation that we have for messaging.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So that seems to conclude our public comments for this item. Any further conversation or comments or questions from the board?
Just that I would really like us to move forward with the $78,000, but come back sooner than later to further discuss the 3-year plan and a budget, so you can prepare and not be strapped with from year to year. I think that's something we need to have another agenda item and look at.
We will do that.
Definitely in agreement with that also, and making sure the statement made that when we do get it, that we get the funds to you guys in your account as soon as we can to follow up on that. So
Perfect. So then looking for action.
Mr. Chair, I approve I make the motion to approve the agreement between the County of Lake and Visit Lake County, California for the provision of administrative services in the amount of $78,000 from March 2nd, 2021 to June 30th, 2021, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and if we could please get a roll call, Johanna.
Yeah, Supervisor Simon,
yes.
Supervisor Crandall,
Yes.
Supervisor Scott,
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska,
Yes.
and Supervisor Sabatier.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, you also have the consensus. I would say please reach out to our admin office when you're ready for those further conversations, so that we can see you back here in front of us to discuss the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Supervisors.
very much for the work that you do.
You bet.
All right, that concludes our entire, oh, I'm sorry.
No, thank you for your time and your consideration. I
Thank-
appreciate it a lot.
Thank you very much.